What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JBsports back again with another one. Terrence Crawford attended the Errol Spence Jr. Danny Garcia fight this past Saturday on Fox pay-per-view, and he had the internet going nuts. Pow wow, baby. What they know about me. Yeah, he had the internet going crazy as he attended the Errol Spence Jr. Danny Garcia welterweight unified title matchup that went down in Jerry's World in AT&T Stadium. Errol Spence Jr. in the post-fight press conference quickly poured cold water on that fire that was blowing, thinking that Errol Spence Jr. and Bud Crawford could possibly meet next. He said, look, Terrence Bud Crawford said in a recent comment that he didn't need me. So why is he here? You wouldn't see me at any of his fights. He said, look, I'm about to go back to my ranch, ride some horses, come holler at me in another week or two, and I'll let you know my plans. But obviously, he made it known that his plans are not going to include Terrence Bud Crawford. So who is Terrence Bud Crawford going to fight next? That's the question that needs to be answered. I'm going to answer that on this video. Look, he's got one good option. And he's got a not-so-good option, but he probably might end up having to take the not-so-good option, in my opinion. Let's go to the rankings, the WBO rankings, as Terrence Bud Crawford is the WBO welterweight champion. Guess who's the number one WBO contender for his belt? Shawn Showtime Porter. And there's even better news. He's the mandatory. Now, what the WBO needs to do is they need to call a purse bid. Need to call a purse bid. He's the mandatory, call a purse bid, and let PBC and let Top Rank bid on the fight. That's the first domino that need to fall for this potential matchup to happen. WBO president, call a purse bid for Terrence Crawford versus Shawn Showtime Porter. And then it'll be incumbent on both parties to make the fight happen. Because when I look at the number two option, well, I ain't going to say the number two option, but the number two ranked contender is Vergil Ortiz. Despite what Oscar De La Hoya said recently, like, oh yeah, I would love to make that fight. Terrence Bud Crawford versus Vergil Ortiz, I would love to make that fight. Just tell Bob Arum to give me a call. That ain't nothing but smoke and mirrors. That ain't nothing but window dressing. Oscar De La Hoya, you got to understand, he just lost his biggest star. Canelo Alvarez, a.k.a. Cinnamon. He just lost him, so he's gonna say, yeah, I'm willing to make all the big fights. He said he was willing to make Ryan Garcia versus Gervonta Tank Davis if Ryan Garcia is successful in defeating Luke Campbell. And I kind of halfway believe he might try to make that fight. They think they seen some flaws in Gervonta Tank Davis' last fight with Leo Santa Cruz. He got the knockout of the year so far, but he took a lot of punishment. You look at his face, man. He got touched up in that fight. So, you know, they maybe see some things. You know, they see what if Leo Santa Cruz can touch you up. I know Ryan Garcia can touch you up, who's got faster hands and who's taller, got a longer reach. I know he can touch you up. So maybe they would be looking to make that fight and try to do a Floyd Mayweather Jr. versus Oscar De La Hoya 2.0 with Gervonta Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia. But as far as Vergil Ortiz versus Terrence Bud Crawford, not a chance in hell that fight is going to happen next. Oscar De La Hoya ain't trying to get his number one draw. Well, his 1A and 1B draw is Ryan Garcia, and 1B is Vergil Ortiz. He's not trying to get them beat anytime soon. He's going to put them in matches that he thinks they have a decent chance of winning. And fighting Terrence Bud Crawford when he's arguably the number one ranked pound-for-pound fighter, just got through destroying Kell Brook and not beat him in devastating fashion. A guy that's 37-0, you know, has dominated both divisions, junior welterweight and welterweight division, even though the welterweight division resume is not that strong, but the people that he put him up in the ring, he stopped all of them. They're not going to put Vergil Ortiz in the ring with a guy like that. The guy's too green. He's wet behind the ears. He's not ready. In my opinion, they need to put Vergil Ortiz Jr. in there with a Jesse Vargas next. That'll be a good step-up fight for him. Put him in there. He gets by Jesse Vargas, and he looks more spectacular than, he looks more spectacular than, who fought him last? Mikey Garcia. My bad. His name's here. If he looks more dominating than what Mikey Garcia did to Jesse Vargas, then that'd be a feather in his cap. And then you could possibly start talking about fighting Terrence Crawford. But you probably still need another step-up fight after Jesse Vargas. And then after that, then maybe you can talk about a Vergil Ortiz versus Terrence Bud Crawford. So scratch that. Number 3 on the list is, guess who? Mikey Garcia. Mike Garcia ain't trying to fight Terrence Crawford. He talked about fighting a whole lot of people. He said, oh yeah, I'm looking for the big fights. I'm looking for the fight in the big fight. He talking about Manny Pacquiao. He called out Errol Spence Jr. He thought he saw something in him. He's willing to fight those guys. He's actually, at one time he wanted to fight Keith Thurman. He's shown some signs that he may want to fight Shawn Porter too. He said that wouldn't be a bad fight in a recent interview. So he said all that, but he's never said anything. Never. Only time he mentions Terrence Crawford's name is when he's talking about Terrence Crawford fighting Errol Spence Jr. But as far as him fighting Terrence Crawford, he said maybe a couple years ago, he said, man, that wouldn't be a fan-friendly fight. I'd be trying to chase him and run around the ring, trying to chase the guy. He'd be on his bicycle. That wouldn't be a good fight for the fans. So I'm not trying to fight him like that. That style is all wrong for me, and I don't think it's a crowd-pleasing style for me to fight him. That's what he said, ladies and gentlemen. So he's not trying to fight him. He's looking for a Manny Pacquiao fight. If he can't get that, maybe he'll settle for a Udonis Ugas fight, who does hold a title at WBA. It's a regular title, so he can say he's a multi-division champion once again. So maybe he takes that fight. The number 4 guy on the list is Custio Clayton. Last seen in the ring versus Sergey Lipinets. In a fight a lot of people thought he won. Ended up in a majority draw. 2 judges had it a draw, and 1 judge had it 115-113 for Sergey Lipinets. But when I watched that fight, I thought Clayton won 7 rounds to 5. He controlled the fight. He kept Sergey Lipinets at bay. He hit him with the jab. He was able to make Sergey Lipinets fight his fight. He was able to move around the ring, get to where he wanted to get to in the ring, and basically box circles around Sergey Lipinets in that fight. Outlanded Sergey Lipinets, and I thought won the fight. But it was a lot of close rounds. So you give a round here or there to Sergey Lipinets, you end up in a draw, majority draw. But that's the guy that's 18-0-1, not going to be that expensive, a guy that they can put on ESPN and pay, the bare minimum to. And then they can pay Terrence Crawford his money because he's going to make at least $3 million per fight. He's got a minimum of $3 million per fight, so they can give Terrence Crawford his $3 million. Put that fight up in Vegas in the bubble, like the fight with Kell Brook took place there, and then that could be Terrence Crawford's last fight on the contract with Top Rank as his contract expires in October 2021, and then you will see what Terrence Crawford and his team do. Will they look to be free agents and sign with someone else, or will they look to re-sign with Top Rank Boxing? That remains to be seen. But that's his 2 options right there. Shawn Porter, who's a mandatory WBO collar purse bid, or Custio Clayton, a guy that's 18-0-1, a guy that looked very impressive in the Sergey Lipinets fight, and they could put that fight on ESPN, a guy that's not going to cost a lot of money, and they can still pay Terrence Crawford his $3 million, but it's not a fight anybody's asking for. But they can say, hey, he's undefeated. He's from Canada, U.S. versus Canada. His first time fighting outside of Canada was when he fought Sergey Lipinets in Microsoft Theater in Los Angeles, California, and that was in the bubble. And he looked very impressive in that fight, so they could sell that fight. But it's never gonna be nothing compared to if Errol Spence Jr. fights Manny Pacquiao. That's gonna overshadow that tenfold. So we have to see what happens. We have to see what transpires. But that's what we're looking at right now. Terrence Bud Crawford is in Shawn Showtime Porter. He said after the fight, after the Spence Garcia fight, that, hey, if I had a preference out of Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Bud Crawford, it would be Crawford because I already fought Spence. And me fighting Crawford would be something new storyline, new style that I have to fight. It would be a very intriguing matchup. I haven't fought him before. And we're 2 of the top guys in the welterweight division. It'll be something brand new and that I'll be looking forward to. So he said his preference is to fight Terrence Crawford over Errol Spence Jr. So make it happen. WBO, call the purse bid. And so we can get one step closer to making Terrence Bud Crawford versus Shawn Showtime Porter. If they don't do that, then we're looking at plan B. And the plan B is a big drop from plan A. And that's Terrence Crawford versus Custio Clayton in a fight nobody asked for, but the guy that's the next highest ranked guy as Virgil Ortiz and Mikey Garcia at 2 and 3. I don't see any one of those 2 guys taking the fight with Terrence Bud Crawford. So Custio Clayton, who is 33 years old, it'll be a chance for him to fight for a title. He got real close to getting the IBF interim title, but he came up short. Sergey Lipinets and his team seem to me they're not really looking to fight Clayton again. I believe they think that's a bad style matchup for him. So they're looking to try to hold out and hopefully get a Errol Spence payday and get a fight at the IBF title and the WBC title and a potential matchup with Errol Spence Jr. in 2021. So this will be his next best option to fight for the WBO welterweight title. 33 years old. I don't think you can pass up that opportunity at that age and that chance to win a title in the welterweight division. So he'll be the next guy. So those are two guys that's looking to fight Terrence Crawford next. Hopefully we'll see Terrence Crawford and Shawn Showtime Porter. That's the fight I want to see. But if we don't see that, look for Terrence Crawford versus Custio Clayton in the Las Vegas bubble. Look for that matchup to take place. Maybe they can get that fight in Omaha, Nebraska, if they start allowing fans and start allowing fans in that state for public events. I mean, for sporting events. Maybe we get that there. They was talking about doing that with Kell Brook, but Nebraska wasn't able to pull that off as far as with the COVID-19 protocol. They weren't able to make that fight happen. So that fight moved to the Las Vegas bubble. And we'll see where this fight end up if he indeed fights Custio Clayton, if the match with Shawn Showtime Porter, who's the WBO mandatory, falls through. Let me know your thoughts on Terrence Crawford's potential next opponent. Who you like, who you think he should fight next. Let me know your thoughts and subscribe to JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. I holla.